For being my guinea pig.
Yeah, let's go.
Woo! All right, let's see. Where is record? Record. Okay. Okay.
You got it. Gives me all these
Okay.
like approval
Check.
pop-ups now. Yeah.
All right, let's see. And we are
Yes,
live
streaming.
getting my technical skills
Let's
under
go.
my belt here. We're,
Popping off.
planning to be some heavy duty streamers someday in the future because I
Let's
guess
go.
the future of radio is video. Who knew? A lot of us always say, we have a face for radio, and now that has a whole new meaning.
Wow. Yeah, I guess so, huh? Truth.
Okay, well, we'll see if it's working. It might be working. I don't know. We'll find out later.
Looks like
But
it's
anyway, we're
working.
here. Zoom's working. I got this recorded. So let's just start off with a really, really tough one. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, let's see. Hello. I'm Trey. Trey Cartier. I guess for these purposes, what founder, main curator, architect, thinker of the Summit. But in the educational environment, definitely known out there as Michelle Cartier, Dr. Michelle Cartier. But more and more, it's just Trey. But both are very alive names for me. So, yeah.
Michelle and I were just talking, and I was telling her, "Oh, I'm going to interview Trey. Wait, do you know her as Michelle or Trey?" And both.
Yeah, both are great. But yeah,
I
Trey has
have a
definitely become more and more.
I have a similar identity crisis now that I'm at work and I DJ at
Sure.
work. I've always been Anya as a DJ, but in my professional work life, it's been Kara, and now I'm Kara on air as a DJ, which is kind of weird. I feel more
I know
comfortable
it was funny
having
when I
a
was
studio
asking
name.
you about the event. I was like, can I, like, are you still DJ Anya broadcasting? I kind of had
Yeah.
a moment.
I'm both. I'm all of it.
Oh,
Most
I
people
love
here
it.
know me as Kara, but most of Humboldt knows
And the
me as
Bunny Slayer.
Anya.
Come on, let's go.
And the Derby World, the Bunny
If
Sled.
we're that cool, yeah,
So we go way back. We've known each other for, gosh, I'd say over a decade, huh?
at least,
Probably
yeah, at this point,
significantly over.
which is wild.
Yeah, probably like maybe closer to 2 decades.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you start thinking where a decade is, you're like, oh, I guess
Oh,
more than that.
yeah. Well, thank you for taking time out of your European vacation to come and join us for Monday Morning Magazine.
100% super me.
Yes, thank you. You're making this easy for me. This is my first time hosting Monday Morning Magazine, and I'm generally a music DJ. So doing interviews and talking is a challenge that I'm excited for, but also challenged by. So thanks for being my guinea pig in more than one way.
All about it. Yes, let's go.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the summit.
Cool. So let's see. The summit is a bunch of things, and I'll do my best because sometimes I linger into the abstract when really at the end of the day, it's a space, it's a venue, it's a women's sports lounge. It's a cool, safe place for humans to hang, and we've created this supportive environment for people to do so and have a good time and catch a game, usually most of the time. Um, but the summit, came to mind. I'm kind of like a philosopher, filmmaker, artist type introvert as well, as much as I like peopling and definitely into women's sports. So yeah, the summit is, I also reference it as kind of a speakeasy, a queer speakeasy that's not downstairs, but upstairs, piloting some ideas and definitely getting mostly tagged as your local queer women's sports bar from even in the most current weeks when people from out of town are coming in or haven't been there for their first time yet. But it's also a film and art gallery, and we do film nights as well as DJ sets and things like that. So it's a venue of multiple variations, I guess.
Awesome. And where are you located?
And we're located in Northtown, Arcata. It's the purple building that everyone recognizes when they're headed towards, you got that new ramen shop on the corner. and then the purple building is on the left and it's upstairs. And usually the response I get is like, oh, it's that one? Really? But yeah, that's where it is.
Cool. When I tell people about it, a lot of questions come up, especially from people that don't identify in the queer community, and they want to know,
Mhm.
oh, is it only for women or only for queers? Can I come?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've really been kind of more deeply navigating those questions as we've finally done some, I think, long-standing updates that needed to be done to our website and things like that. But it's non-inclusive. All folks are welcome. But I think the flip for me that's been really interesting is that when you suddenly very much intentionally center or recenter these other communities and groups, suddenly I don't know, people have questions, can I go there too? You
Right.
know? And usually my immediate flippant response is like, yeah, you can come, you're just not allowed to be an asshole. But usually that hasn't been the problem. It seems like the environment has really kind of curated and created itself to attract kind of what we've been up to. It's been, it's slow kind of manifesting, but it's really been kind of an intentional crafting that is really starting to reveal itself and solidify as this recentering in which we were hoping to really make it. So yeah, so all folks are welcome. I even have like cis white dudes emailing us being like, I'm a cis white dude and I have a wife. I love WNBA. Can I go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. All are
You
welcome.
know, 100%.
Yeah, our fun drive we're doing this week is KMUD is queer, and we did have kind of similar responses from some of our volunteers who don't identify queer, wondering what does that mean to them? Are they still part
Right.
of this? And I like how you said it, centering on one group doesn't exclude the other group. It's really just this opportunity to highlight and talk about this part of our community that often is ignored and is experiencing some pretty heavy stuff right now with this administration and erasure of our identities, especially trans folks. And so I think it's really important to, make this a center of discussion and highlight this as a important community discussion for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
How has the community response been to the summit?
It's been great. I'd say like in maybe like some of our initial um, kind of, I don't know, putting it together years when we were just kind of doing pop-ups and right when we opened, because there were still, I think, questions that we were looking for answers and responses and how we were going to do things and really keep to, again, this intentionality of curating the space for this kind of recentered community. And so initially, definitely everyone's stoked, but still maybe wrapping their heads around what the space is and what we do and what is the main focus of what we're going to continue to do. But I think now it's really solidified itself in terms of everything from the physical space to people coming in and getting an immediate like welcome vibe, chill kind of understanding of how to just pull up a chair and hang out and want to come back. So it's
That's
been a
awesome.
blast. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. And
And
it's
thank
cool
you.
because I was just going to say real quick that we continue to have different crowds and groups come in based on, the film nights that we do once a month, the kind of art film exhibitions or special events, to definitely our most consistent just women's sports on the regular and watch parties. So it's cool that it is now even solidifying more for those more like subgroups, but it's all still mixing really well too. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Thank you for hosting our Friday the 13th big finale for our KMUD is
Yeah.
Queer fundraiser. Um,
Super stoked.
yeah, so we want to invite the community to come out to the summit. We're going to be there from 5 till closing, which is probably between nine-ish or so. Maybe seeing how if the game goes into overtime or how
Yeah, we
enthusiastic we
usually
are.
keep the doors open, and we'll serve a drink till 10, but we'll definitely be there till the end of the last games that are going on, which usually about 9 on Fridays.
All right. Yeah, we have a bunch of volunteers pretty excited to watch some WNBA games in a group with other
Yes.
people because a lot of times you're just alone with maybe your partner or just alone watching it. So it's amazing to have a gathering space because sports, I think, are much better to watch with friends and in groups. So please
Yeah,
come.
100%.
Yeah,
And
that'll
we
be
got
fun.
some good games going on. We got the, of course, WNBA. There's a game like, I don't know, it starts as early as 5, but then there's that like main game at 7 p.m. You got the Dallas Wings, which is, Paige Beckers. She was the first draft pick. So that's exciting against the Las Vegas Aces, who is also one of your kind of top tier teams. However, then they're not doing so great this season, so it'll be a fun matchup either way. Of course, you
Ooh.
got Asia Wilson. And then there's also going to be women's soccer on Bay FC, which is the newest franchise for that NWSL, and Orlando Pride with Martha. So if you already are a soccer fan, most likely you have heard of Martha's name, and she plays for Orlando Pride, which will be a fun game to watch.
Wow, fun. So you're going to have multiple games going at the same time?
Yeah, so we kind of run ourselves as a little bit of a sports book. And for those that aren't familiar with the sports book, yes, you can bet, but also it means a lot of different TVs with a lot of different games. So that's kind of our style as well. So yeah, you can pull up to any telly that you want for the game that you're looking for.
And do you use the silent disco headphones for those situations
We
or?
do sometimes because we will kind of prioritize one particular game for the main speakers and audio system. Sometimes we'll overlap it, and then it's just like you hear someone gasping or cheering over there, and you're just like, where do I go? What's happened? But yeah, we'll probably have the audio for the women's basketball game. But yes, we do use the headphones sometimes to hook up to another telly for those that are listening or interested in listening to the broadcast for a game that we're not playing out loud, which has been convenient a couple of times.
All
Yeah.
right. And it is a bar, so just to let folks know, it is a
Mhm.
21 plus facility.
Yes.
Um, and
And
yeah,
we have alcoholic drinks and non-alcoholic drinks. So we cover a good variety. And people have, yeah, like, well, I don't really drink. It seems like there's, been a beverage and like no pressure. You don't have to buy a drink. You can come in and watch the game. That's the kind of space we are. So,
that's awesome.
and you can bring your own food too. We don't want to cook
Okay.
anything. There's plenty of good local restaurants around making good stuff. Go support them, bring it on in, watch a game with us.
And how does the membership work?
Cool. The membership is different in the sense that, you're paying into something, but it's also kind of seems a little counterintuitive maybe at first because we really are trying to center, our most I don't know, kind of go-to populations and communities. Okay. So our membership and or monthly pass membership, it'll get you benefits such as free venue rental, discounts
Mm.
on drinks. Some people utilize the reservations for the main lounge or the fire pit. Eventually, we want to make it kind of like a triple gay card where you can take it to different places in the community and get your free sticker, your 10% off. So that's coming down the line. We got
I
a
love
couple of
that.
participating businesses. Yeah. And so the initial base rate is like $40 a month. But if you're one of the communities that we're I don't know, supporting for trans athletes, it's $20 a month. For women in queer community, it's 25 a month. For your allies and co-conspirators, it's 30 a month. You self-select, and then once you're a member, you're always a member. So after the first month, it's sliding scale. Whatever you want to toss in, awesome. The house always wins. We're not worried about it. But again, we're just trying to give the money back. And when we have covers for, sometimes we do have events where there's covers. There's not too many right now. But obviously, if you're a member of the summit, you wouldn't have to pay the cover, right? And at the end of the day, it's just a way to support the space, but for each other. And we have no doubt that at the end of the day, people want to support space for each other, those that can. And that's a lot of what we get is people wanting to, make it available for, those that might need it most.
Yeah, I love it. It's an easy way to donate and to be
Mm-hmm.
part of something that is really special. I know a lot of folks feel kind of Hopeless right now and don't know what to do and want to do something. And there's an easy way. You can
Yeah,
support queers and your community by just, donating or even just coming, telling your friends
yeah.
about it. Um, let's see. How do you, and you kind of covered this, but maybe there's a little bit more. How do you intentionally create a space that's safe, welcoming, and affirming for LGBTQ plus folks, especially trans and non-binary people?
Yeah, let's see. I think a lot of it is, I don't want to like bring up bad old phrases, but the trickling down or wovening through, in terms of just kind of some of the frameworks that we've put together. I mean, our mantra is to celebrate tenacity, amplify love, and so through a lot of the languaging that we've really kind of remixed, if you will, like even that membership kind of uh, platform. There's so much language to just really put these communities at the forefront of everything that we're doing. So there's just become kind of subtle nuances within the physical space itself that I think just like really sees people like that we're intentionally and unapologetically just doing that without having to be too loud about it. You can just feel it in the space, I think, at this point, you
Yeah.
know?
I feel it when I'm there. It's like you finally found home, this little niche that often you're the only one, and it's nice to be in a group and meet other like-minded folks that you wouldn't meet without a mutual space like this. And
Yeah,
I really appreciate that.
totally.
Um,
Glad to see it.
yeah. How does your venue challenge the typical sports bar venue vibe and culture?
I mean, I think it challenges it or just definitely, kind of strays away from it in a couple respects, obviously just on the easy go women's sports versus kind of your more traditional conventional sports that you might find in a sports bar. Also the harder to find sports, I think, we'll put up, everything from skateboarding to roller derby to surfing to ultimate frisbee. We got some people that are adamant about that.
Uh,
But I think we really wanted to take the time not to just counter or switch a few things, or move a letter over, We really
mhm.
wanted to remix things and put things together that aren't usually put together. Because that's, I think, really how you shift the canon, the norm,
Yeah.
So we have, again, kind of going from our literal and figurative worlds, I think there's a lot of things that we've kind of put in place there. But in the physical space, it's more, again, to reference the sports book lounge approach, but also I think it generates this kind of airport lounge vibe too, hence the airplane in the logo for those people that have got it and wondered why. But just the where you can kind of just come in, chill. You don't have to be with a group and stay with your group. You really have the all access pass to, you know, um, be there and chat it up with the people next near to you or not. But it really is approachable in that respect. So I think that definitely shifts away from that classical conventional sports bar vibe where, you're kind of in your friend group and you're looking at the screen and you're cheering as opposed to really kind of mixing with other crowds and other conversations and other humans, even those that might not even be there watching the sports, but it's a good chat at the end of the day. Like the conversations that I hear stimulated from those watching the game or talking about the athletes or the coaches, I mean, it's fun. It's a nice way to ignite discussion as well. So,
Yeah.
and we don't serve food. Like we really are space human focused. So that's kind of our main get.
Yeah. And I think just having that art element in there really
Yes.
sets it apart in so many ways.
Yeah, 100%. Like the art is, that I would say has been, at some point I'll sit down and write about a lot of the process of doing this space and putting it together and, some of the reflections. But the art is so key, and we do rotate it, and we highlight different artists locally, regionally, but also around the world. And the majority of them are, POC, queer, people doing cool shit, and it's obviously a small space, but for anyone that comes in and you want access to the artist and what's happening, because a lot of it's through QR codes, and then it leads to their Insta, so you can give them a follow and their artwork or their shop or their films. But all tips go to our artists, unless we're doing a special event. So really it's kind of, that's another one of those nuances that I think helps to build the space, because you're getting art from humans, making or getting to see different things within the realm that maybe is different also.
Yeah.
So,
And embracing that digital futuristic touch with the QR
mhm.
codes. I know you do that with some local musicians and stuff too.
Yeah,
And if you like something there, just scan it with your phone and
yeah. Yeah, we have our digital, what is it, our levitating digital jukebox. So you can scan it and then it goes right to their Bandcamp, and you can give the song a listen, either there in the space or back at home. Usually say you can, scoop up or collect some QR codes and then see what you got when you got home if you are overwhelmed by the game and all the
yeah.
fun chatter at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a small space, but there's so much to look at and so much to do. And you've done a really good job just laying it out. And that balcony is just amazing. A beautiful view of, you can see campus, you can people watch galore, you have the fire pit, you bring the big screens out there. It makes a really fun
100%.
hangout spot. What has been the
Yeah,
most
it's one of the best seats
meaningful?
in the house, so getting to bring your people.
Yeah. What's been the most meaningful feedback that you've gotten from the community that kind of keeps you going?
You know, circling around on this, number one, just like thank you. I just feel like, for some of the regulars that come in and just some of the people that are so surprised, that just feel like some sort of validation, on
Yeah.
whatever which level. Just some sincere, genuine thank yous have been most impactful. And then I think just hearing the conversations that strike up between strangers that come in. I know that's not necessarily feedback, but that's something that's just been so significant. And
Yeah.
then the other thing is just continuing to grow and see the concept through, everything from very, I don't know, logistical things like accessibility. We're upstairs, so we want to continue to make a space that is, more accessible for all. And we'd like to do some like all ages events as well, too. So, we're not totally trying to just seclude there, but it's been a pilot project for, some of these other things that we're interested in.
Oh, that's exciting. Do you imagine expanding into a bigger space or having a alternate space, or are you still brainstorming all those possibilities?
Yeah, a little of both, but I think the concept is so strong to be expanded and to kind of go further,
Yeah.
although this pilot is so like such a lovely little gem at this point, so that won't go away. But yeah, I think there's some potential future shape shifting that can happen. And definitely some investors slash athletes that I can't wait to finally, have some serious combos with and be like, look,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. Right. Sponsored by the WNBA, the Summit,
Yeah.
right? Well, what are some athletes or teams that do inspire you?
Excellent transition. So one of those athletes that definitely has inspired me. Well, I'll just name the two right away. Obviously, Pat Summitt. The place is named after Pat Summitt, who is one of the all-time best coaches out there in the world. Unfortunately, she passed much too early from Alzheimer's a handful of years back, but she was the basketball coach for the Tennessee Lady Vols. And just, that kind of rigor to know what you're capable of and to elevate to the level of excellence that all of us have the capacity for, is definitely kind of a vibe of the summit. Not necessarily to compete, but that just we have the capacity to be our fullest potential, and to trust that. And so Candace Parker was one of her players for the Tennessee Vols, who then was this all-time, MVP, multiple champion in the WNBA. She just retired, but she is the one I'm waiting for to do the help do the ribbon cutting ceremony, to be honest. So at some point, we're gonna get Candace Parker over to the Summitt,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's going to be a blast. So definitely Candace Parker, Pat Summitt. That's why there's two T's on the Summitt, because it's named after her. And then Dawn Staley to, I don't know, I could go down like the litany of lists from different sports, everything from roller derby to soccer to, all this stuff. But I think Pat Summitt's got to be a mention, Candace Parker, Dawn Staley. Those are some major go-tos in the sports world for me.
Well, as a avid roller derby fan and former player, I'm curious who your favorite roller derby skater is at the moment.
Um, Susie Hot Rod. Susie
Oh,
Hot Rod will always have a space
legend.
in my heart. 100%,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. And then I just see, let's see, all sorts of fun people to watch. I'm really trying to figure out what the roller derby World Cup is happening this year. And it hasn't happened in a handful of years. So hopefully we'll be streaming it at the Summitt, but it's happening in Austria. So it might be some early games, but we might do a couple of watch parties for
Ooh.
it. Yeah.
Yes, I would love that. I'm
Yeah.
dreaming of making the WIFTA champs in Sweden the following year. So we'll see.
That's what's up. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yep. I know we got some connections out there. So let's
Hmm.
make some plans.
I love it. But
Um,
Freight Train is one of my
oh
faves.
yeah. Did you get to be coached by her when she came out here?
Yeah, it was actually one of the ones that brought her out. Got to host her at my spot, and actually, I'm trying to bring Freight back through. She comes through a lot. I want to do a watch a game with Freight.
Oh,
Watch
fun.
Freight's favorite games with her at the Summitt. Do something like that.
Oh, that'd be great. I'm
Because
there.
she's yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Smarty pants. It's a throwback, but she's great.
Yeah. Awesome. You've been very vocal about supporting trans athletes, and why is this especially important right now?
God, it's important right now on just so many levels. But I think for me, like just on a very personal level, just as a human and just a thinker, it's like the foremost conversation of getting to human together better, like we need to have these discussions and we need to get to the other side. Because I think it's also one of the most unfortunately convenient way to weaponize humans against each other about some of these specific strong achievements, especially when we talk about women's sports. And then you got women's athletes coming against women's athletes. And I do a lot of my own personal artwork and new media stuff on this concept for me and how I think about it and how I kind of take inventory of what's happening and kind of spin it a different way. Um, a couple of my pieces were called, let's see, Girls Just Want to Have Fun and They Deserve to Play Sports Also. Another piece is called Dear Martina, thank you for everything, but you're wrong. Because it's just like, yeah, we can have those achievements and let's keep going. I think, you know, people deserve to play sports
Yeah.
and play on the team that you feel most aligned with. And the story for me. And if we want to go to, well, what does that do to the records? Well, and I know this is only one thread of so many hot topics for people,
Mhm.
but we talk about records, then we got to talk about like, well, what was the first record before Gatorade was invented or the torpedo bats, like if you want to know when the first record was and you're really interested for whatever reason of what kind of human and biology, then I don't know, do your research, put the numbers together and what is important to you, why. I don't know, but that's on you, boo, right? So
Yeah.
um, I just think being a human, we should get to play sports and we
Hmm.
should get to experience being on a team in a way that everyone else does. And like, unfortunately or fortunately, or just how it is, things are binary in that world.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out a way to work with that world. right? We can't just exclude because of these things. And we still gotta, I often refer to this like as a very messy in between, and this in between is gonna last for a long time. Um, but yeah, we're human at the end of the day. We deserve to be able to play sports and be on a team and be a part of that team and try to want to win.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything other than that.
Not hurting anyone. And if
Yeah,
anything, I mean, it's a lifesaver for so many people to belong somewhere and to have something that, a place where they can have their achievements celebrated and they can be their best and just empowered. It's
yeah,
frustrating to see women in sports are already marginalized in so many ways, and then to see the infighting within that is really frustrating and kind of keeps us from being better humans, as
right.
you were saying.
100%. Again, it just ends up being, unfortunately, such a convenient way to weaponize, this discussion to really tailor to other things that are happening with this discussion, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and yeah, it's unfortunate. And like you said, it's just, it's such a place, it's such a visceral experience. I think that's another reason and such a important piece of the summit. We really try to align with the scope of the athlete, the poet, and the human. Those are the three, I think, people that are always trying to get at their truest truths all the time,
Mhm.
and getting to do that. So just as an athlete, to be able to experience that, whether it's a solo sport or with a team, but it's never really solo, it's just so critical. And it's just, we need to get to the other side of this.
Yeah. Well, besides being a bar, what are some of the other things you mentioned, the film gallery and
Mhm.
but what are some of the other things? I think you may be one of the only sports bar that has a gothic lounge, for example, that sets you
I
apart.
think we might be. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we do, let's see, like I said, I mentioned briefly, our film nights. We've been doing those pretty solid. Usually a Thursday, once a month, we'll screen a film utilizing kind of our sports book setup. So, it's a fun venue to watch a film with others in kind of a more casual, chill bar setting, if you will, with the film on each of the screens, a good sound system. And so the films will vary. We usually do like a contemporary film and then a throwback. We've done Demi Moore's The Substance. I think that was like the wildest one to do it in the space, and it was packed, and it was just such a like body uh ephemeral like experience, such a viscerally I don't know, charged,
Yeah.
yeah, vibe. And this next week, we're doing our kind of Pride pre-Juneteenth film night. We'll be screening two films, and they're both kind of one of them's documentary, one of them's kind of docu-fiction. We're doing The Aggressives, which is a film from about 10 years ago, trans mass living in Brooklyn. And then we're doing Cheryl Dunier's A Watermelon Woman, which is a fantastic film, definitely belongs in the archive of queer cinema. It already is. Both of these, honestly, I think are such staples to the archive of queer cinema. So if you haven't seen any of them, it's a good opportunity to do that. And previous to that, we actually are doing a documentary filmmaking workshop. So we have a filmmaker coming through to do a hands-on workshop and then small discussion, but she really wants to get into the ideas of nonfiction, the ethics of seeing, when you're kind of capturing an image or telling a story in that non-fictional lens. So that'll be cool. So Thursday's a whole big filmy day.
What
And then,
time
yeah,
does
we
that
do
start?
yeah, so 4:30 p.m. for the documentary workshop. That's 4:30 to 6. And then our double feature starts at 6 p.m. We're screening The Aggressives first. And then about 8 p.m. is when we'll screen Watermelon Woman. So we'll be open till at least 10 p.m. on that Thursday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what last question? We're gonna wrap it up because I really appreciate you taking the
Yeah.
time out of your
It's always fun hanging out with you,
vacation.
Anya. You're
Yeah,
such a
it's
fan,
nice. It
Yeah.
is lovely. But what advice would you give someone else who wanted to set up an inclusive space in a rural area?
Yeah, where did I was thinking about that one. Honestly, do it.
Yeah.
Take your time, make it happen, and it doesn't have to be everything all at once. I think sometimes you can get really, I know I experienced this, and then talking to other people, anytime you do something you care about, you feel like you have to do, you see it so clearly what maybe the end product is going to be, or really where the vision is going. And while you're developing it, it's just like, man, it's like, what is happening? And it's not really looking like this yet. And you don't want to really talk about it till it's already there. But yeah,
Yeah.
just trust it. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. Take your time. And specific to like doing a space, find a space that you like, that feels good, um, uh, that you want to be in is definitely important, because then you're just kind of curating this space to really just be that kind of welcoming, chill vibe. And my other advice is to find a good bookkeeper,
That's
a
important.
good a good accountant. Yeah.
Yeah, because as setting up a business, you kind of have to do everything. So
Yeah,
finding those little
100%.
pieces that you can get help in are going to be lifesavers.
Yeah. And
Um,
I'll give a little shout out, like North Coast Business, they do so much mentorship. I definitely, made sure to kind of set up some of those meetings, get the resources, so there's just so much stuff out there. Embrace the help, the support,
yeah.
the conversations.
Is that the Small Business Development Center?
Yes.
Yes. If you
Hmm.
have any of those in your area, utilize them. I know the one we have here in Humboldt County has been amazingly helpful. I know a lot of people who definitely went there to start their business. They can help you get loans, give you a mentor to kind of guide you, creating a
Yeah.
business plan, and all of that cool stuff. I did say that was the last question, but it made me come up with another
Yeah, yeah.
question. I'm just curious, when was the seed planted that you wanted to create this space?
Yeah. Because you sent me some of these questions, I had a minute to reflect. And I love when I do these interviews, because I don't often sit down and really like think about it. It just kind of goes. Um, but I think honestly, since about like 2017, 2018, I had been kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Like, it just needs to happen. And started really kind of manifest it, life spinning, life going on, but definitely really starting to kind of, you know, scratch at me for sure. And then I just realized, like, I kept just creating this like sports book summit environment pretty much anywhere I went, because I would go to bars that had sports on it, but they never played the things that I was wanting to watch. So I'd usually come in with my laptop, watch the WNBA, watch roller derby on my phone, and keep an eye on like the tennis match,
Oh my
like
gosh.
so. Eventually, when we found the space and it was commercially zoned, it just seemed to like line up and be perfect. So again, just kind of chipping away at like how the space could work to kind of support those ideas, and then kind of go from there. And 2021 is when we actually started the business. So we are the first, if we're going to go down that realm of the
Yes.
very first women's sports bar, established 2021. So didn't really have our
Yes.
regular hours till another year or so, but I think that controversy will pop off at some point, and we're here for it.
I've already seen it on the socials, people defending you when other people make that claim. Like, actually, the summit is it. Well, thank you, Dr. Michelle Cartier. It's been a
Yes,
pleasure. Will you just remind folks where to find the summit again and
sure.
how to get in touch if they have any questions?
Cool. Yeah. So the actual address is what, 1507 G Street in Arcata, Northtown Arcata. It's the purple building, 15th and G. And you got to go, this sounds sketch, but you got to go through the back parking lot and up the stairs. That's how you'll get us, but you'll see signs along the way. Um, and we do have a website. It's kind of long, but it's the Summit Sportsbook.com. And you can also find us on Insta, the Summit Gallery and Lounge, I think. The Summit Gallery and Lounge. Remember, Summit with two T's. And and we definitely try to kind of put things in rotation on calendars and Lost Coast Outpost as much as we can. So yeah, we're out there, and stop on by, say hey.
Great. Awesome. And I hope to see you, everybody, on Friday the 13th. We'll be ending our fund drive there. We're going to do our big raffle. We'll see who the winner is. Everyone who donates throughout the week will be part of that raffle. We'll have a bunch of goodies to give away. And we'll be there live. So come by, have a drink, watch
Yes.
the WNBA, and make some friends.
Yeah. And
All right.
enjoy the rooftop. It's a fun space.
Yes, and you enjoy Chapel Roan and
Cool. I will, Anya.
all
I'm gonna
you're
tell you
about
all
to go
about it.
see.
And I'm bringing you back next time for the with your media press pass.
Okay, I'll do it. I might have to interview you again all about this music fest you're about
Cool.
to go hit. Well, thank you, Trey.
All in, all in.
All
Yeah. All
right.
right. All the best, Anya, and to all of you over there at the studio. And Soham's got a big place in my heart. So big
Yay.
love to your listeners too.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
friend. See you soon.